Alright, so today's topic is going to be inequalities with negative variables, more specifically negative coefficients. So we're going to have to notice that every time we see a negative sign next to our variable or next to our coefficient, we're going to have to flip the inequality sign. The reason being is because if we don't flip the inequality sign, then it's not going to be true. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look here. I want to get the negative 4x by itself, so I'm just going to go ahead and subtract 9 and subtract 9 in order to create a zero pair. Now I have negative 4x is going to be less than negative 16. Okay? Because I subtracted by a 9 on either side, that's just a constant, so in that case I didn't have to flip the sign. But over here I have to divide by negative 4, and then I'm going to have to divide by negative 4 here. So then x is now has to be greater than negative 4 divided by negative 16 divided by negative 4 is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive. So x now has to be greater than 4. Okay? Now, let's see what were to happen if I had x is less than 4. Okay? So let me just pick any number that's less than 4. Let's say 3. X is equal to 3. So let me plug this back into my original equation. 4 times 3 plus 9 is going to be less than negative 7. Okay? So let's see if that's true. This is going to be negative 12 plus 9 is less than negative 7. Alright? So now this is going to be negative 3 is less than negative 9. Is that true? Is negative 3 less than negative 9? No, it's not. That's why this could not have been correct. Alright, so let me just go ahead and erase it and then solve with this inequality here. So it says that x has to be greater than 4. I can't pick 4 because 4 is not greater than 4. So let me pick a number like 5. Okay, now let's plug in and see if it works. Negative 4 times 5 plus 9 is less than negative 7. So we have negative 20 plus 9 is going to be less than negative 7. Okay? Negative 20 plus 9 is going to be equal to negative 11. Negative 11 is less than 7. Is that true? Is negative 11 less than 7? It certainly is. It certainly is true. Okay? So the reason why we flip the sign is because if we don't, when we plug in one of the numbers for our inequality, it's going to be a false statement. Okay? So that's why we flip the inequality sign. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and solve this. I can't do anything with the x over 3 yet, so I'm going to add 10 on this side and then add 10 on this side. So now I have negative x over 3 is going to be greater than or equal to 21. Okay, this is a division problem, so I'm going to have to multiply. Let me multiply by negative 3 and multiply by negative 3. It has to be multiplied by negative 3 instead of just a positive 3 because I want this negative out of there. Okay, so now I have x. Since I just multiplied by a negative, I'm going to have to flip the sign. So 21 times negative 3 is going to be equal to negative 63. Okay, so x has to be less than or equal to negative 63. So it could be negative 62, negative 61, negative 50, negative 2, 0. Alright, it's just x, I'm sorry, I said it in reverse. Yeah, it could be negative 64, negative 65, negative 66. Just anything less than negative 63. Alright, let's go over a few more problems. Okay, so can't do anything with this. Minus 9, minus 9. I'm going to have negative 3t is less than or equal to negative 30. So I'm going to divide by negative 3 and divide by negative 3. So I divided by a negative number. So I'm going to go ahead and just flip the sign. So it's going to be equal to 10. So t has to be greater than 10. That could be 11, that could be 12, that could be 13. But since it says greater than or equal to, I can include 10 in here as well. Okay? Now for our next one, once again, this is what I'm trying to get to, so I have to do that last. So minus 1.2, minus 1.2. This creates a zero pair. So negative 3.6 minus 1.2 is going to give me negative 4.8. So negative 4.8 is greater than or equal to negative 0.3a. So I got to divide by negative 0.3 and then divide by negative 0.3. Okay? So because I divided by a negative, I'm going to have to flip that sign. Okay? So now I have 16 is less than or equal to a. This is a little bit awkward because I want to have the variable on the left-hand side, so I'm just going to go ahead and flip everything. So A is then greater than or equal to 16. So my answer would be A is greater than or equal to 16. All right, let's just try two more examples. Okay, once again, I'm trying to get to my variable, so I have to do that last. The opposite of negative 25 is positive 25, so I'm just going to go ahead and add 25 to each side. X over 2 is going to be greater than or equal to 75. Okay? Now, in this case, there is no negative here. So you have to understand that if there's no negative, I don't have to flip that sign. So all I'm going to do now is multiply by 2 and multiply by 2. So X is greater than or equal to 150. I do not have to flip the sign if my variable does not have a negative. Alright? So this is what I have to do last. So I'm going to minus 2 and minus 2. I have negative 4/5 of B has to be less than 22. Okay? In order to divide this, because this is showing multiplication problem, I'm going to have to multiply by its reciprocal, which is negative 5 over 4. What that does is it gives me a negative 20 over 20, which is just 1. So I have B all by itself. Since it was a negative, I need to flip the sign, and then of course over here I multiply by negative 5 over 4. Let me just cross cancel. This goes into this 2 times. This goes into this 11 times. 11 divided by 22, 222. So this is going to be equal to negative. Oh, hold on. Actually, this is supposed to be 20. There you go. So divide by 2 and divide by 2. Divide by 4. Okay, so let's make this a 1 instead of dividing by 2. So then we can make this a 5. There you go. So 5 times negative 5 is going to be equal to the negative 25. And that's it.